I've never believed in the supernatural, not until those whispers began. They haunted me from childhood through college and into my adult life, twisting reality in ways that defied logic. This is my story, a series of terrifying events that left indelible scars on my soul. Some will say it's fiction, a product of an overactive imagination. But I know the truth. The whispers are real, and they're still with me, echoing through the corridors of time. I was 10 years old when my parents decided to move to a secluded house at the edge of the whispering forest. The locals avoided the place, calling it cursed, but my parents dismissed their superstitions. My father, a rational man of science, and my mother, always supportive, thought a quieter environment would be beneficial for our family. "Alex, you'll love it here," my mother said as she unpacked boxes in our new kitchen. "There's so much space to explore." I nodded, trying to match her enthusiasm, but I couldn't shake the eerie feeling the forest gave me. It was dense and dark, the kind of place that seemed to swallow light. One evening I ventured into the forest, lured by a strange melodic whisper that seemed to beckon me. The whisper started softly, almost like a gentle hum, and as I walked further in, they grew louder, forming incomprehensible words that sent shivers down my spine. I followed the sound deeper into the woods until I reached a clearing with an ancient oak tree at its center. The whispers grew louder, now forming incoherent words. I felt an icy hand on my shoulder, and when I turned around, no one was there. Terrified, I ran back home. At dinner that night, I tried to tell my parents what happened. "Mom, Dad, the forest. It spoke to me," I stammered. "Nonsense," my father replied sternly. "It's just your imagination." But my mother looked pale. "Stay away from that forest, Alex," she whispered, a trace of fear in her eyes. I didn't understand her fear then, but I obeyed. The whispers haunted my dreams for years, and I never stepped foot in the forest again. Years later, I learned the forest's dark history. Locals whispered about a tragedy, a child who had disappeared there decades ago, never to be found. They said the forest claimed her soul, and that her whispers could still be heard by those who dared to listen. Years passed, and I went to college far away from home. My dormitory was an old, creaky building with a history of strange occurrences. My roommate, Jake, was a skeptic, but I knew better than to ignore the supernatural. One night, as I was studying late, I heard faint footsteps in the hallway. Thinking it was Jake, I called out, "Jake, is that you?" No response. I stepped into the hallway, but it was empty. Suddenly, the temperature dropped, and I saw a shadowy figure at the end of the corridor. It whispered my name. "Alex." I froze. "Who are you? What do you want?" The figure vanished, leaving behind a chilling silence. I hurried back to my room and locked the door. Jake returned later and found me pale and shaking. "What happened, man?" he asked. "There's something here, Jake." It called my name. Jake laughed nervously. "You've been studying too hard." But that night we both heard the whispers, and Jake stopped laughing. We reported it to the dorm supervisor, who only shrugged and said, "This place has its history. Some things are better left alone." The whispers continued until I moved out at the end of the semester. I still heard them, late at night, echoing through the old walls of the dormitory. I graduated and got a job in a new city, far from the haunted dormitory in the whispering forest. I thought I had left the whispers behind, but they followed me, always just on the edge of my perception. My new apartment was in a modern building, bright and airy, the last place you'd expect to find ghosts. But on my first night, I heard them again, faint, distant whispers that seemed to seep through the walls. I tried to ignore them, convincing myself it was just my imagination. But the whispers grew louder each night, forming words that chilled me to the bone. One evening, I returned home to find my apartment in disarray. Books were scattered, furniture overturned. My first thought was of a break-in, but nothing was missing. Then I heard it, a soft, mocking whisper. "Alex." I spun around, but no one was there. My heart raced. I called the police, but they found no signs of forced entry. The officer, a middle-aged man with weary eyes, gave me a sympathetic look. "Sometimes our minds play tricks on us," he said. "Try to get some rest." But rest was impossible. The whispers grew more persistent, more malevolent. They spoke of my past, of the forest, of the dormitory, intertwining my experiences into a nightmare tapestry. Desperate for answers, I reached out to Jake. We hadn't spoken in years, but he remembered the whispers all too well. "Alex, you need to find out what they want," he said over the phone. They're not going to leave you alone." "But how?" I asked, frustration and fear evident in my voice. "There's a woman I met after college. She's a medium. Maybe she can help." I contacted the medium, a serene woman named Eliza. She agreed to come to my apartment and perform a seance. As we sat in the dimly lit room, she closed her eyes and began to chant softly. The temperature dropped, and the whispers intensified, swirling around us. "They're spirits," Eliza said, her voice distant. "They're trapped, seeking closure." "Why me?" I asked, my voice trembling. "You're sensitive to their presence. You've encountered them before, and now they're drawn to you." Eliza's seance revealed a shocking truth. The spirits were those of the child lost in the forest and the souls trapped in the dormitory. They were connected, bound by a dark force that thrived on their torment. "You must confront the source," Eliza advised. "Only then can you find peace." With Eliza's guidance, I returned to the whispering forest. The place seemed unchanged, frozen in time. The whispers greeted me as soon as I stepped into the woods, guiding me back to the ancient oak tree. Eliza performed a cleansing ritual, her chants filling the air. The whispers grew louder, angry and desperate. The ground trembled, and shadows danced around us. "Alex, you must speak to them," Eliza urged. "Tell them they're free." I stepped forward, my voice shaky. "I release you. You're free to go. Find peace." The air grew still, and for a moment there was silence. Then, a final whisper, soft and relieved. "Thank you." The shadows dissipated, and the forest felt lighter, as if a great weight had been lifted. I knew the spirits had found their peace, and with them so did I. The whispers no longer haunt me, but their memory lingers. They taught me to respect the unknown, to listen to the echoes of the past. Some may call my story a mere tale, a figment of imagination, but I know the truth. The supernatural is real, and it's closer than we think. Also, in the end, just don't forget, it wasn't just a puppy, so you better click that subscribe button.